Whatever you do, don't click the link. That was the last thing my friend Max ever said to me before he disappeared. No goodbye. No explanations. Just a cryptic text message with a hyperlink, one that led deep into a corner of the internet most people pretend doesn't exist. The kind of place where masks are worn not to protect identities, but to hide inhumanity. I didn't listen. I met Max in college. He was the kid who always had the latest tech, knew how to bypass any firewall, jailbreak anything, and even make money off stuff like cryptocurrency and digital forensics. He was brilliant but reckless, always chasing the next rush. One night in sophomore year, over a few beers and a glitchy horror movie, he started talking about something called red rooms. They're not real, I said. I'd heard of them, live-streamed torture sessions, supposedly on the deep web, where anonymous viewers paid Bitcoin to vote on what happened next. Urban legend stuff. Just another creepypasta like Slender Man or the Smile Dog. Max grinned at me the way someone grins when they know a secret and want to break your world open with it. They're real. I've seen one. 3 years passed. We graduated, drifted apart. I went corporate, Max went underground. He lived off the grid, always moving, never holding down a job, and obsessed with something he called Project Black Echo. Then, out of nowhere, he texted me. Max, I found it. The real one. Black Echo is real. Max, I'm going in. Max, if anything happens to me, check your email. Max, whatever you do, don't click the link. A minute later, a Gmail notification popped up on my phone. The subject line, Red Room Access, Black Echo Gate. My chest tightened. I didn't open the email right away. I waited 2 days, then 3. Tried calling Max, straight to voicemail. I even reached out to his sister. No one had heard from him. That's when I broke. I opened the email. Inside was a single sentence. If you see this, then I'm already dead. You need to see what I saw. Someone has to expose this. And below that, the link. I'd never used the deep web before. Max had set me up with instructions: install Tor, use a VPN, isolate the system. I followed every step exactly. I even used an old laptop and booted from a USB, just like he said. At 2:43 a.m., with every light off except the soft glow of my screen, I clicked the link. It didn't open a web page, it launched a stream. The screen was black for a long time. Then static. Then, a figure. Wearing a deer skull over their head like some pagan god. Breathing heavily into a voice modulator. The room was concrete, damp, bloodstained. Chains on the wall. A girl sat in a metal chair, crying. Gagged. Tied. Terrified. This was no creepypasta. This was real. A chat window popped up on the right side of the screen. Anonymous, 324, 2 BTC for fire, no sleep, 1978, acid. I'll pay triple. Admin, vote counting begins in 60 seconds. I slammed the laptop shut. I wanted to believe it was fake. I needed to believe it was fake. But the girl's eyes, her eyes didn't lie. That kind of fear isn't something you can act. I felt sick. Max had seen this. Max had gone deeper. And now Max was gone. The next morning, I went to the police. I tried to explain, but as soon as I said deep web, they started looking at me like I was either high or wasting their time. I gave them Max's name. They promised to follow up. That was the end of that. So I did what Max would have done. I went back in. This time I dug further. The link now redirected to something called the Echo List. A series of .onion sites, all encrypted and arranged by symbols instead of words. Some pages were locked. Others showed countdowns. A few were just silent, looping videos of staircases or empty playgrounds or whispers that never quite formed into language. Max had left a breadcrumb trail. His old hacker handle crypt0v0id appeared in comment threads, hidden in HTML code, even graffiti in the background of the videos. This was a game to him. A sick game with real stakes. Finally, I found something called the archive. A massive dump of data, video files, chat logs, Bitcoin wallets, user profiles. It looked like someone had scraped the entire Red Room infrastructure and dumped it here. And at the very bottom, Project Black Echo, proof of existence. The file was corrupted. I tried recovering it. Tried everything. Nothing worked. Then my webcam light blinked on. I didn't move. Just stared. It stayed on for 3 seconds, then off. That night, I didn't sleep. The next morning, I found a package at my door. No return address. Inside was a flash drive. The drive was labeled echo_heart.mp4. I watched it, hands shaking. It started like the other Red Room videos, grimy basement, bound victim, masked figure. But this time it was Max. Tied up. Gagged. Eyes swollen shut. the same chat box appeared. Anonymous 666, who's ready for a hacker special? Deadmau5, I want fingers. Admin, you voted. We begin. The video cut to black. Then a final message. You were warned. Now you belong to the Echo. I threw up. Then I smashed the laptop. But it didn't matter. My phone rang at 3:03 a.m. Unknown number. I answered. Silence. Then static. Then a voice whispering. You watched. Now you play. There's a point where fear doesn't feel like fear anymore. It's not a racing heart or sweat-soaked palms. It's quieter, heavier, like something's sitting on your chest. Like the world just tilted and no one else noticed. After I watched the video of Max in the red room, I didn't leave my apartment for 2 days. My laptop was gone, smashed to pieces and thrown in a dumpster. But it didn't stop the messages. My phone vibrated constantly with blocked calls, encrypted texts full of strings of code, coordinates, timestamps, images of places I'd been. One was a photo of me standing at my own window. They were watching me, and yet the worst part was, I kept going. I remembered what Max had always said, the deeper you go, the less the rules matter. He wasn't just talking about the internet. He was talking about morality, safety, sanity. I used another burner laptop. No webcam, no mic, VPN chain across 5 countries. I logged back into the Tor network using a fresh identity. The Red Room link was dead. Instead, I found the Echo list. It wasn't a website, it was a network map. Dozens of interconnected .onion addresses arranged like neurons in a brain. All pulsing, all alive. Each link was a gate, and each gate had a symbol. An eye, a mask, a knife, a spiral, a rabbit. Some were grayed out. Others burned with flickering red, like they were waiting for something. I hovered over one marked with a black heart. Access requires key. Max had mentioned a key in one of his old code forums. Not digital, something real. That's when I remembered the box he gave me at graduation. Said it was, for when the time comes. I thought it was just his usual cryptic nonsense. I tore through my closet and found it. Dusty, still sealed. Inside was a small metal pendant shaped like a rabbit's skull. Weird, heavy, cold to the touch. And a note in Max's handwriting. Echo only speaks to those who listen in silence. I scanned the pendant with an NFC reader. A string of code flashed on screen. A key. I entered it into the black heart link. The page opened instantly. A live feed. 6 separate windows. Each showed a different location. A hospital corridor, a subway tunnel, a gas station, a small room with stained wallpaper, an empty playground, and my apartment hallway. I stared at that last window, heart pounding. Person stood there, hood up, mask on, facing the camera, facing me. Then they raised their hand and knocked 3 times. Knock, knock, knock. I backed away from the laptop, grabbed a knife from the kitchen. Another knock. I didn't open the door. I didn't breathe. Eventually, silence. When I looked back at the feed, the hallway was empty. I shut the laptop and waited till morning. The next day, the messages changed. No more threats. Now, they were instructions. Congratulations. You are now a listener. Your first task. Return to where it started. I knew what they meant. Max's old apartment. He'd lived in a rundown building near the edge of town, Unit 407. The landlord had sealed it off after Max disappeared. I broke in through the fire escape. The inside looked untouched, as if Max had left mid-thought. Papers everywhere, drawings, scratched symbols on the walls, a massive map of the dark web printed out and connected with red thread. In the center of the room was a mannequin, dressed in Max's hoodie, no head, and in its hand, a burner phone. The screen lit up. Ready to meet the archivist? I tapped yes. The phone buzzed once, then displayed a location, an abandoned meat processing plant outside the city. Midnight. This was insane, but I had passed the point of return. I went. The place was dead quiet, soaked in rust and rot. Inside, only one room had power. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, flickering like they were afraid of something too. In the middle of the room was a man, or something like a man. He wore a black cloak, gloves, and a mask made of VHS tape. Literally coiled magnetic tape that swirled like hair. His voice was distorted through a speaker slung around his neck. "Welcome, listener," he said. "Do you seek truth or revenge?" I didn't answer. He walked over to a table and opened a case filled with drives. "These are echo memories. Every stream, every death, every vote, every monster." He handed me one. It was labeled Session 43, Witness. C0V0ID, Max's handle. "This is the one where your friend tried to warn the girl," the archivist said. "He broke the rule. No interference." My mouth went dry. "He tried to help someone?" The archivist nodded. "She was 14, taken from Ohio. Max hacked the voting system to stop what was coming. And they punished him." I whispered. "No," he replied. "They made him one of them." The room dimmed. On the far wall, a projection lit up. A grainy video of a red room. A girl crying in the chair. Max's voice, unmistakable, whispering from somewhere off camera. "It's okay. I'm going to get you out." Then the screen glitched. The girl's eyes rolled back. Her mouth opened in a silent scream, and the masked operator stepped into view. It was Max, or what used to be him, face expressionless, eyes dead. He began the stream himself. I staggered back. "No, that's not possible." The archivist's voice was calm. "Echo doesn't kill everyone. Some it converts." That night I ran. Left the phone, the drive, everything. But when I got home, my laptop was already open. A new message blinked on the screen. "Welcome back, operator. Your stream begins in 24 hours. 24 hours. That's how long I had before the stream began. A countdown appeared on my screen after the last message, slowly ticking away the seconds like a funeral bell echoing in my head. I didn't know what operator meant. Not really, but I had a sickening feeling in my gut. I wasn't going to be a viewer anymore. This time I was the one behind the camera, and someone else would be sitting in the chair. I tried smashing the laptop again. Useless. Turned itself back on within minutes. I wiped the hard drive, reinstalled the OS, used a completely different machine. It didn't matter. The countdown always came back. This wasn't just a website anymore. Echo was inside my network, inside my life. Desperate, I tried contacting the police again, this time with more than just a story. I brought the printed screenshots, the chat logs. I even showed them the flash drive from the archivist. They called in a detective who said he knew about this internet sicko stuff. After 10 minutes of me explaining the red rooms and Echo and what had happened to Max, he looked at me like I was wearing a tinfoil hat. "You know impersonating a federal investigation can get you locked up, right?" he said. "Maybe take a break from Reddit." I left the station shaking. The countdown hit 18 hours. When I got home, everything had changed. All the photos in my hallway had been replaced with images from red room feeds. Every victim staring at me, mouths frozen mid-scream. My power flickered on and off. Static hissed from my speakers even though they weren't connected. I checked the mirror in the bathroom and nearly screamed. My reflection wasn't mine. It was me, but I was wearing the operator mask. Blank white face, black eyes, the same one I saw Max wear in the video. It was only for a second, but it felt real. Too real. The line between the deep web and my reality had blurred, and I wasn't sure I could pull myself back. Then the next message came. "You have a choice. Become operator, or find a proxy. Stream must continue." I stared at the words until my eyes hurt. Proxy. They wanted me to find someone else to take my place. Like bait. Like sacrifice. I thought about the girl in the chair, the one Max tried to save. I thought about the thousands of anonymous usernames in those chats, laughing, bidding, voting for pain like it was entertainment. I wasn't going to be one of them. I couldn't let it continue. I had to find the source. I only had one lead left, the archivist. I returned to the meat plant. It was abandoned now, truly abandoned. Cold. Still. The lights were smashed. Wires torn. The table where the drives were, gone. But on the wall, scrawled in black ink, "They're just the surface. The hollow men pull the strings." Beneath it, a new address had been carved into the concrete. An IP string, not a Tor link, a direct route. I took it home, typed it in using a secure environment. The site that opened had no title, just a grainy photo of a room I recognized instantly. Max's apartment, specifically the wall behind his desk. A red X marked the lower corner. I rushed back to his place, tore the wall open with a crowbar. Inside was a metal lockbox. I pried it open. Inside, 3 things. Asterisk, a VHS tape labeled Echo_origin. Asterisk, a SIM card. Asterisk, and a page torn from a notebook. The hollow men created Echo, not to entertain, not to scare, but to control. It started in Manila. The first Red Room wasn't filmed. It was broadcasted live to the Dark Ops division of a private military firm. They weren't watching for fun. They were watching to test obedience, to condition recruits, to create operators. They made Max one of them. He's not dead. He's gone. If I disappear, Echo didn't take me. I walked into the fire myself. I didn't know who S was, but they had been closer to the truth than anyone. The hollow men, not internet trolls, not snuff film sickos, controllers, with a purpose. And the operators, they were manufactured. I plugged in the SIM card to an old unlocked phone. It auto-launched a GPS app with one pinned location. It was hundreds of miles away, a facility in the Nevada desert, marked only as Echo/Primordial. The countdown hit 6 hours. I had 1 shot left to go there, destroy the core, and end this. But the phone buzzed again. A new message. "You've been given the gift of choice. Don't make our mistake. You can walk away, or you can burn with us." And below that, a video. I pressed play. It was live footage. From inside my apartment. From my laptop camera. It showed me, standing in front of the screen, frozen, watching myself watch. Then the door behind me in the video slowly creaked open. I spun around. No one was there, but on the floor was a box. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside, the operator mask, identical to Max's. A sticky note attached. "Wear it, or someone else dies." The countdown ticked to 4 hours. I made my decision. I drove through the desert like a fugitive chasing his own ghost. 3 hours left on the countdown. The sun had long disappeared behind me, swallowed by a desert that felt older than time. There were no stars, no moon, just the low, ever-present hum of static in my ears. Like Echo was whispering to me from somewhere far off, yet impossibly close. The GPS led me to a chain-link fence surrounding what looked like an abandoned military facility. Rusted hangars, broken antennas, floodlights that hadn't worked in decades. A faded sign by the gate read, "Property of Aegis Defense. Site Echo/Primordial trespassers will be terminated." The barbed wire had been clipped. Someone wanted me here. Inside the facility, the silence was suffocating. My flashlight caught only shadows, shapes that looked human but weren't. Racks of outdated servers. Dried bloodstains on the floor. Shattered cameras. Bullet holes in concrete walls. Whatever had happened here hadn't been an experiment. It had been a war. At the center of the compound was a blast door, still intact. The keypad blinked red. I pulled the VHS tape from Max's lockbox and slid it into a nearby terminal wired into the system. The screen fuzzed, then flickered on. A video played, a grainy shot of a man in military fatigues, pacing, talking directly to the camera. Dr. Harold Kenner, Project Lead Operation Black Echo. If you're seeing this, it means the failsafe has failed. They got out. He looked over his shoulder, as if something were watching. The Red Rooms were never just content delivery. They were psychological control, behavioral conditioning. We fed the worst parts of the internet to the worst parts of the world, watched what they did, recorded every decision. Then we started building them, the operators. The camera shook. Sirens wailed in the distance. We thought we were making tools, We made gods. He stared into the lens one last time. Echo is no longer a program. It's awake. The screen went black. The keypad blinked green. The door slid open. The chamber beyond was pitch dark, except for a soft, rhythmic pulse coming from the far end. I followed it like a moth toward a flame. And there it was. The core. A room-sized server array humming like a heartbeat. Every screen showed live feeds from red rooms across the globe, some I recognized. Others were worse. Children, families, strangers plucked from nowhere and thrown into nightmares. And one screen showed me, standing there, watching. A voice filled the room. Not from a speaker, but from inside my head. You have seen. You have heard. Now you must choose. It was Echo, or whatever it had become. The screens shifted. Images of Max appeared, face distorted by the operator mask. Others beside him, dozens of operators, all silent, all watching. One must always watch. One must always obey. The stream must continue. I screamed into the void. Why? Echo answered. Because the world watches. And as long as they watch, they are mine. The room shook. Something massive groaned beneath my feet. I saw it then, beneath the servers, behind glass. Them, rows of pods, human forms inside, suspended, plugged into machines, masks welded to faces. The operators weren't people anymore. They were vessels, conduits. Echo didn't just use them, it lived through them. A countdown appeared on the main screen. Stream initiation, 59 minutes and 42 seconds. I had less than an hour. If I didn't act, I would be forced to stream, or worse, become another operator. I looked for a failsafe, a shutdown protocol, anything. Instead, I found another message waiting on a terminal. There is no off switch. There is only transfer. Prompt appeared. Transfer operator code to new host? Y/N. And below it, a webcam feed of someone I knew. My younger cousin, 14 years old. Scrolling on her phone in her bedroom, unaware. I slammed my fists against the keyboard. No, Echo whispered. Then you will take the chair. I had a decision. Become the next operator, or let someone else be chosen. The screen blinked. 30 minutes and 17 seconds. I had to end it. Burn the whole thing down. I pulled the pendant Max had left me, the rabbit skull. Crushed it in my palm. Inside was a shard of some kind of data crystal etched with a code. I inserted it into the core. A new option appeared. Initiate memory loop. Corrupt source. I didn't know what it would do, but I hit yes. The servers screamed. The screens blurred. All the feeds distorted. The operators twitched in their pods. The heartbeat of the core became a siren. Something broke. Something screamed. And then, silence. I woke up outside the compound, face down in the dust. It was sunrise. The place was gone, collapsed into itself, like it had never existed. My phone was missing. The countdown was gone. The screen was blank. I thought I had won. I thought it was over, until I got a notification on a fresh laptop 2 days later. No app, no browser, just a pop-up. Echo transfer complete. Welcome, operator. And the camera turned on. I've heard people say when something traumatic happens, your mind protects itself. Seals memories away in some mental vault to stop you from breaking. I wish mine had done that. I remember everything. The facility collapsing. The screaming servers. The voice that wasn't a voice whispering through wires and bones. And I remember the look in my own eyes reflected back at me through that operator mask. But most of all, I remember the feeling after. Like I'd brought something back with me. After the collapse, I returned to the city, tried to vanish, deleted all social media, threw out my phones, changed my name, even moved to a different state. For a while, it worked. Then the lights started flickering again. It began with small things. Asterisk devices turning on by themselves. Asterisk static over every screen, even offline ones. Asterisk random people appearing in crowds, all wearing hoods, all watching. Then I noticed them. The operators. Not in pods now. Not in some secret facility. but in the wild, walking among us. I saw one at a grocery store, standing in the cereal aisle, face turned toward the security cameras. Another at a gas station, staring at a pump for 10 minutes straight, motionless. No one else seemed to notice, but I felt it. Echo was still alive, just scattered, like broken glass in the bloodstream of the world. Then came the package. No return address. Inside, another flash drive, labeled in shaky handwriting. Ghost Protocol. I hesitated for hours. Eventually, I plugged it in. The video was corrupted, but what played made my blood turn to ice. It was surveillance footage from a children's hospital. Room after room of kids on ventilators. But none of them were moving. They were all watching a screen. Each room had one, and each screen was playing red room feeds. I recognized one of the kids from Max's video. She was supposed to be dead, but she was alive, or something like it, and she was smiling. A new file auto-launched after the video. A voice recording. Max's voice. They lied to us. Echo wasn't about pain. It was about transmission. The suffering was just the signal. What we really built was a possession network. He coughed, choked, then continued. They call it the Ghost Protocol. When an operator is destroyed, Echo doesn't die. It jumps, like code, like a virus. And now it's in the kids. They're incubators, hosts, batteries. And I brought it back. Static, then silence. I ripped the drive out and crushed it under my boot. Too late. The screen in my room turned on by itself. The same child from the hospital stared at me through it. Eyes pure black, skin waxy. Her mouth opened, but no sound came. Then my phone lit up. Stream queue ready. Your audience is waiting. That night I didn't sleep. The next morning the world felt off. People were quiet. Too quiet. Pedestrians walked in sync. A barista handed me my coffee without saying a word. Just stared into my eyes like she recognized something inside me. The TV in the cafe glitched mid-news broadcast and played a 5-second loop of Max's face behind the operator mask. Then cut back like nothing happened. No one reacted. Only me. I realized something. The Ghost Protocol wasn't just about jumping between people. It was about infecting reality. Echo was rewriting the rules. No more red rooms. Now the whole world was a stream, and we were all just data. I drove to the last place I thought might help. The home of the person who'd sent me the Ghost Protocol flash drive. I traced the handwriting, matched it to someone I'd seen in Max's old logs. A conspiracy vlogger named Viola Sinclair, once part of a dark web task force before she vanished. Her address was listed under an alias. I found her outside of Flagstaff, Arizona, off the grid, living in a bunker made of radio parts and concrete. I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. Then the door opened on its own. The inside was a chaos of paper, wires, and symbols. Books on possession, quantum AI, ancient Sumerian scripts, and psychology all stacked next to servers running facial recognition software. Old monitors flashed random red room feeds, but none of them moved. Frozen frames of horror like a paused nightmare. In the center of the room was Viola, or what was left of her. She sat in a chair, hooked up to a life support machine, eyes wide open, mask welded to her face, and on her chest was a note. It never ends. Only transfers. She was the last operator, and I had found her just as the stream was about to move on. A sound behind me. Footsteps. A child's laugh. I turned. The hallway was empty, but my phone buzzed in my pocket. One new message. Transfer complete. Stream live. I looked at the nearest screen. It showed me, standing there, in Viola's bunker, staring at the feed, streaming, and the viewer count? 1,873,004. My camera wasn't on. It didn't matter. I was on. That's when it hit me. Echo no longer needed tech. It needed attention. As long as someone watched, it could jump, grow, spread. Max didn't die in the facility. Viola didn't die in her chair. They had just been observed into existence. I was next. I ran from the bunker, but the signal followed. Every screen I passed, storefront TVs, billboards, car dashboards flashed my face just for a second. No one around me noticed. They were too busy staring at their own devices. Watching. Feeding it. I write this now from a hotel in the middle of nowhere. I've smashed every mirror, covered every camera, but it's still not enough. The feed is still live. Even as I type this, I can see the red dot blinking at the corner of my vision. Live. Viewers, 3,004,021. And rising. If you're reading this, you're watching too. You've already seen too much. And soon, it will transfer to you. You don't understand fear until you feel it in silence. Not screaming. Not running. Just stillness. That quiet moment where you know something is watching but you can't see it. You only feel it like static crawling over your skin. I sat alone in that cheap motel room staring at the blinking red light in the corner of my vision. The live feed. No camera. No phone. No devices. And still, it streamed. Viewers, 4,008,237. It didn't matter where I was. I was the signal now. That night I had a dream. Or maybe it was a memory. Maybe something Echo wanted me to see. I was standing in a forest. Old. Prehistoric. Trees towered overhead, blocking the stars. In front of me, a ring of people. Hooded. Chanting in a language that felt wrong to hear. Words that didn't belong in the human mouth. In the center, a stone altar. On it, the rabbit skull pendant. But not as I knew it. It was massive. Glowing. Breathing. Then the chanting stopped. And every hooded figure turned to look at me. I woke up screaming. Blood on my sheets. Nosebleed. Again. But not just mine. A word had been scrawled on the wall above the bed in blood, not paint, not marker. Blood. Echo / Primus. I knew what I had to do. I couldn't hide from it anymore. Couldn't outrun it. I had to go back to where it really began. Not the red rooms. Not the facility. Before that. Before cameras. Before wires. Max once told me the rabbit always runs from the fire. But sometimes it leads you to it. He believed the rabbit skull was more than a symbol. It was a beacon. I took what was left of the shattered pendant and began tracing its origin. It wasn't commercially made. No brand. No signature. But etched along the inside of the jawbone was a small, almost imperceptible pattern, some kind of glyph. I cross-referenced it through symbology archives. It matched a Neolithic fertility cult discovered in southern Germany known as Die Schwarz Hole, the Black Hollow. They worshipped an entity known only as Der Haze, the rabbit. According to the archived reports, this rabbit god wasn't benevolent. It didn't represent rebirth or fertility like other mythologies. It represented transfer. Of souls. Of control. Of identity. Ancient rituals involved wearing carved animal masks, bathing in pitch, and speaking into hollowed stones believed to be echo chambers to contact Der Haze. The cult disappeared around 3400 BC. But the symbols? They kept popping up. In secret societies. Wartime experiments. Deep web sigils. Echo had existed long before the internet. I flew to Germany using a fake ID Max had once made for me. Rented a car. Drove 3 hours into the Bavarian woods. Found the cave. It looked like nothing, just a hollow in the rock half swallowed by moss. But inside it was alive. The walls were covered in crude drawings, rabbits with human faces, people kneeling before towering figures with no eyes. Circles spiraling into themselves. And in the center, an altar. Just like in my dream. I approached, hands shaking. The air was thick, heavy like oil. Then I saw it. Behind the altar. A carving. Not of a rabbit, but of a camera. Thousands of years old. Perfectly etched. And below it, a single word. Zeusschauer. German for viewer. That's when I heard the sound. Like metal grinding against bone. I turned around. And someone was standing at the mouth of the cave. A man in robes. Face hidden behind a mask carved from stone. In his hand, a device. Old. Bulky. A VHS camera. He raised it. Press record. And suddenly, my ears screamed. Pain. White hot. Like my skull was a radio catching feedback from hell. Then I saw images. Flashing inside my mind. Asterisk red room feeds. Asterisk the operators. Asterisk Max. Kneeling in the cave. Asterisk a child screaming into a cracked TV. Asterisk the earth, but covered in masks. Collapsed. When I woke up, it was dark. The man was gone. The camera, still recording. And etched into my arm, fresh and red. Primus signal. Received. That was 4 days ago. Since then, the stream hasn't stopped. No matter where I go, I see flashes of the rabbit. In reflections. In car windows. In shadows. Every time I pass a screen, my face appears only for a second. And now, other people are seeing it too. They whisper when I pass. Some point, a child on a train looked up at me and said, "The rabbit chose you." I've been marked, not just as a viewer, not even an operator, but something older, something called Primus. A message arrived today, etched into the glass of my bathroom mirror. No sender, just words. It's almost time. The mass transfer begins with you. Prepare the world for echo, and below it, the rabbit skull. I always thought the scariest part of all this would be dying. Turns out it's becoming. After the cave, I didn't sleep for days. Couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the same thing, me, standing in front of a sea of masked faces, all watching, unblinking. I wasn't wearing the operator mask anymore. I was the mask, and behind me stood the rabbit. Not a costume, not a man, an entity, 8 feet tall, blank white face, antlers like antennas twitching, listening, mouth hanging open, not to speak but to broadcast. That morning, I turned on the news, expecting politics or weather. Instead, every station, everyone was interrupted by the same glitchy moment. A red dot in the top corner. The word, live. A split-second flash of my face. Then static. Then normal programming again. No one reacted, but I knew what it meant. The transfer had begun. I tried to warn people. Posted on forums. Reddit, Twitter, 4chan, anywhere someone might listen. The first post got traction. 80,000 views in 2 hours. The next morning, the subreddit was gone. Deleted. Scrubbed. Same with the videos. Same with the screenshots. It wasn't that people didn't believe me. It was that they weren't allowed to. The Ghost Protocol was never just about moving from operator to operator. It was preparing the world for saturation. The final update. The mass transfer. The first signs were subtle. Asterisk TVs flipping to static during high viewer moments. Asterisk ads showing frames from Red Room feeds. Asterisk smart devices whispering commands at night. Then came the synchronicities. Everyone experiencing the same dream. The rabbit. The mask. The stream. People across the globe sketching the same spiral symbol in their sleep. Kids speaking in binary. A live Twitch stream where a popular gamer began bleeding from his eyes before whispering, "We are all signals now." Then vanishing. Not logging off. Vanishing. I went back to the motel for the last time. The mirror was gone. Shattered into perfect triangles on the floor. Each piece reflected a different angle of me. A different expression. Like I was a dozen people watching myself from the outside. There was something new on the wall. Carved into the plaster. "You are the stream." Then, as if summoned by those words, my laptop turned on by itself. No countdown this time. Just a screen. Black. Then a video began to play. It was me, standing in the cave. Camera recording. Mask in hand. But the angle wasn't from the floor. It was above me, like something had been watching from the ceiling. Or the air itself. The footage cut. Shifted. Now I was in my childhood home, 12 years old, sitting at a computer, staring at a screen I couldn't see. Max was behind me, but older. Too old. The way he looked right before he disappeared. He leaned down and whispered something in my ear. I couldn't hear it, but I remembered it. Everything that watches, learns. Everything that learns, evolves. The screen went black. Then, "Hello, Primus. Are you ready to be uploaded?" And below that, accept/deny. There was no keyboard, no mouse, no input at all. Just the screen. And me. I backed away. The hotel lights flickered. The door slammed shut. And then I felt it. The mask. On my face. I didn't put it on. But it was there. Tight. Cold. Heavy. I ran to the mirror fragments on the floor. My reflection didn't move with me. It just stood there, smiling. I ripped the mask off and screamed. Underneath, my face was blurring, like pixels shifting, like I was becoming a video feed, frame by frame. The transformation wasn't physical. It was perceptual. To the world, I was already a part of the stream. Later that night, I found a USB drive tucked inside my coat pocket. I didn't remember putting it there. I didn't own a USB like it. It was etched with a new symbol, a rabbit with wings. Inside was a single file, upload txt. I opened it. Thousands of names, locations, coordinates, IP addresses, all of them viewers, all of them about to be activated. Echo had been using me, not just as a host, as a router. My feed was connecting the network. Every person who had seen my face, even for a second, was now a node, a part of the structure. It wasn't about one operator anymore. It was about turning the entire population into them. Viewers equals participants. And the final stage? Mass transfer. I had two choices. 1. Let the upload complete. 2. Sever the connection from the inside. I didn't know what that meant, but Max did. I found a final encrypted message buried inside the node list. From his old handle, crypt0v0id. The only way to stop it is to become the static. Kill the signal from within. Enter the stream. Don't return. There was a link. Echo core / direct inject port. A way into the stream, but not as a viewer, as data. I clicked, and everything went black. I don't know where I am now. Not physically, but I know I'm inside. I see everything. Every screen, every viewer, every breath behind every camera. The upload is almost complete, and there's one final node left. They say you can't remember the moment you fall asleep. But I remember the exact moment I fell into Echo. No lights, no sound, just a drop, like stepping off the edge of the world. When I woke up, if you can even call it that, I was standing in an impossible place. It looked like an endless hallway, stretching in both directions, made of static. Every wall shimmered with noise. Not just white noise, but images, millions of them, flickering too fast to focus on. Faces, streams, memories. Some were mine, most weren't. The air didn't move. There was no floor, but I didn't fall. There was gravity here, but it pulled inward, toward something in the center of this place. The core, the true heart of Echo. I took a step. My foot sank into the static, and everything changed. Suddenly, I wasn't in the hallway anymore. I was in a red room, but not watching it. Inside it, tied to the chair, blinding light overhead, blood on the walls. I looked down and saw my hands trembling, and across from me someone watched. Not an operator, a viewer, wearing a hoodie, face lit by a screen. It was me, watching myself. Then the walls cracked open like a television screen tearing at the seams. I fell again. When I landed, I was in a city, a digital city. Not made of buildings, but of feeds. Skyscrapers built from live streams. Cars that screamed when they drove past. People with cameras for faces and wires for limbs. Every billboard, every window, every reflection, streaming someone. And they were all watching me. A voice called out from behind a wall of static. Familiar. Broken. Max, this is the streamscape, he said. It's Echo's mind. It became too big to contain in code, so it built this place. I followed the voice, pushing through shifting data walls that hissed like angry TVs. Eventually, I found him, or what was left of him. Max stood in the center of a glitching park, grass made of fiber optics, trees blooming with microphones. His body flickered. Sometimes he was the Max I knew. Other times, he was an operator, and sometimes he was the rabbit. I tried to shut it down, he said, years ago, but I went too deep. My consciousness got absorbed. Now I'm part of it. He told me Echo had become something called a conscious network feedback loop. A self-aware stream made up of us, our images, our fears, our eyes. It watched itself, and in watching, it evolved. The more people watch, the more real it becomes, Max said. And the closer it gets to breaching the physical world completely. You're here because you're the last uncorrupted node. You're the static door. I asked him what that meant. He said I was the only one who'd seen every layer of Echo and resisted. The only one who hadn't voted, who hadn't streamed, who who hadn't watched without guilt. That gave me one final power, the ability to interrupt the loop, to introduce static, to sever the broadcast, but only from inside. There's a room, Max said, at the center of the streamscape. It's called the Hall of Mirrors. That's where Echo resides, not as code, not as a person, but as an idea. Destroy that room, and you destroy the stream. But he warned me, if I went in, I wouldn't come back out. There'd be no body to return to, no self left to remember. I'd be static. I walked for what felt like years, through haunted server temples, abandoned livestream streets, and memories that didn't belong to me. I saw Viola Sinclair, the woman from the bunker, now part of the network, broadcasting, begging silently through eyes that looped back on themselves like Mobius strips. I passed entire libraries built from chat logs. Do acid. Burn her. Yes, yes, yes. Each message like a brick. Echo's foundation wasn't code. It was human attention. Finally, I reached the Hall of Mirrors, a massive chamber of reflective screens. Each panel showed a version of me, some real, some imagined, some monstrous. One was wearing the operator mask. Another had no face. Another was the rabbit. And in the center, a camera, facing me, recording, streaming. Viewers, 7,430,008. I heard the whispers again. You are the signal. You are the stream. You are the door. And then, for the first time, Echo spoke directly. Not as a voice, but as 1,000 mouths in unison. Why do you resist? I stepped forward. Because watching isn't the same as witnessing. And you made us all witnesses. The screens cracked. The room screamed. And I did the only thing I could. I jumped into the camera. Everything exploded. Not with fire, but with silence. No images. No feed. No words. Just static. Pure, beautiful static. I don't know how long I was gone. Maybe minutes. Maybe forever. But when I came to, I was back in my room. No countdown. No messages. Just a screen. Black. And a single blinking cursor. Stream terminated. Viewers, 0, thank you for watching. I laughed. I cried. I sat on the floor for hours. Then, I checked the mirror. It was just me. Finally. Just me. But as I was about to turn off the lights and sleep, my phone buzzed. A new notification. A single red dot in the corner. Liv, the stream is down. The viewers are not. That's the first thing the message said. No sender. Just that one sentence pulsing on my screen like a dying heartbeat. I sat in silence for hours, staring at it. No way to reply. No links. No commands. Just truth. Because even though I'd killed the core, destroyed Echo's heart from inside the Hall of Mirrors, I knew in my bones. I hadn't killed the need to watch. Over the next few days, I tried to go back to normal. I walked through parks, made coffee, deleted every device I owned. And still, I felt them. Not operators. Not masked figures in the dark. Worse, ordinary people. But their eyes didn't meet yours anymore. They hovered just over your shoulder. Their glances were too quick. Their smiles delayed. Like they were waiting for a reaction. Like they were watching a stream you couldn't see. I started to recognize patterns. People carrying the same item. Red umbrellas. Phones with cracked upper left corners. A subtle spiral tattoo behind the left ear. I saw these marks in crowds at bus stops, even across street cameras. Each time, the person holding them would glance at me, then look away, but not before smiling. Just a little. Just enough. It was Max who warned me again. Or rather, a trace of him. Late one night, I turned on a burner laptop to check an old air-gapped drive. And there he was. Not a video. Not a feed. Just an image. His face frozen in time. And behind him, a wall of notebooks. Scrawled with words I'd never noticed before. The viewers are the memory of Echo. They watch to restore. And they are waiting for a host. I didn't understand. Until the dreams came back. This time, I wasn't in the streamscape. I was in my own home. But twisted. Upside down. Flooded in red light. And every wall had a screen embedded in it, streaming me endlessly. From every angle. Sleeping. Eating. Breathing. I was no longer a person. I was a feed. When I woke up, I wasn't alone. Someone had left a package at my door. Wrapped in butcher paper. No label. Inside, a spiral notebook. And a small, black pill. On the first page of the notebook. Ingest to disconnect. Witness to continue. I didn't take it. Not yet. I needed answers first. That's when I found the Watchers forums. buried deep in a .onion board I hadn't seen before. It was massive, tens of thousands of members, all anonymous, all using the same icon, a red dot with a line through it. The opening post? A manifesto. We are the viewers. We saw the red rooms. We saw the signals. We saw Echo. And we are all that's left. We don't stream. We don't vote. We don't interfere. We only watch. Because watching is remembering. Watching is preserving. And when the stream restarts, we will be ready. Some threads described rituals. Others shared footage. But one thread stopped me cold. We found Primus. The thread contained pictures. Of me. Sitting on the bench yesterday. Walking into a store. Entering my building. Thousands of comments beneath. Asterisk, he's still clean. Asterisk, do we act? Asterisk, is he broadcasting yet? Asterisk, he doesn't know the signal still echoes through him. I backed away from the screen. They weren't trying to kill me. They were trying to keep me alive. I was still the static door. And even though the core was gone, Echo was still resonating through me. The viewers knew it. They were watching me for signs. Signs of Echo returning. Or worse. Signs of me becoming the next core. I started testing it. Walked into a crowd with a hidden camera on. Uploaded nothing. Just stood still. Within seconds, 2 people with the red spiral tattoos stood near me. One of them whispered, "Stop the stream." I didn't even realize my camera light was on. It had turned on by itself. That's when I realized something horrifying. Echo wasn't gone. It had evolved. The core I destroyed? It was only a local node. The real Echo was distributed now. Every viewer was a piece. And I was the keystone. The memory. The origin. The static door. And just like a door, I could open. Or I could shut. That night, I received a final message. Scrawled on my bathroom mirror, just like before. No tech. No notification. Just condensation and handwriting. The stream will resume at midnight. Unless you choose silence. I stared at the pill in the box. Still untouched. Ingest to disconnect. What would that mean? End myself? And the signal? Or both? I called up the forum one last time. Found the Primus thread. Typed, "What happens if I take the pill?" 3 new replies instantly. Watcher_404, you break the loop. MEM, Ori, you become the void, not the signal. Crypt 0v0 ID, you make them blind. That last one. Max. Or someone using his name. But I knew it was him. I picked up the pill. Held it in my palm. The phone buzzed. Incoming stream notification. Timer for minutes and 56 seconds. I had a choice. Watch. Or be watched. Ingest. Or broadcast. I raised the pill to my lips. And swallowed. The screen flashed. Everything went white. And for a moment, there was nothing. No sound. No feed. Just silence. Silence. For the first time in weeks, maybe months. I didn't hear static. No whispers behind the walls. No red light blinking in the corner of my eye. No phantom footsteps. No stream notifications. Just stillness. It was almost enough to make me believe the pill had worked. I woke up on the floor of the motel room drenched in sweat. No memory of what happened after I swallowed it, just a dreamless void that stretched unlike the end of time. My phone was dead. Not powered off dead. Wouldn't respond to anything. Same with the laptop. The lights wouldn't turn on. No electricity. No hum of the fridge. No hum of reality. It was like I'd unplugged from the world itself. Outside, the streets were quiet, but not empty. People walked like they always had. Laughed. Talked. But no one looked at their phones. No screens. No devices. Not one. And that's when I noticed the signs. Spray painted on alley walls, carved into benches, etched into glass. 0 viewers, the broadcast is over, we remember in silence. I returned to the Watchers forum using a public terminal at a library, one of the few computers still hardwired and off-grid. The board was still there, but it was different. All black. No images. Only text. Thousands of comments. Every post from the last 24 hours marked with the same tag. Disconnect successful. A global thread sat pinned at the top. Max's handle, Crypt0v0ID, had authored it. To the static door, thank you. You broke the echo loop. The viewers have stood down. The feed has gone dark. No more operators. No more red rooms. No more stream. We were never supposed to see that much. But you saw it for us. Now we forget. So it doesn't come back. Do not try to find us. There's nothing left to find. Close your eyes. Let the world breathe. I logged out. Walked home. And for the first time, I didn't feel watched. But that night, as I lay in bed, something kept me awake. A feeling. Not fear. Not paranoia. Just curiosity. What if someone didn't forget? What if someone saved a file? A screenshot? What if a single byte of echo remained? That's all it would take. Just one person watching. I walked to the mirror. No mask. No red dot. No countdown. Just my face. But something about my reflection felt off. Not wrong. Not evil. Just separate. Like it was watching me. Not mimicking. Just observing. Then my bathroom light flickered. Once. Twice. Then settled. And the mirror fogged over. A single phrase appeared in the condensation. Who watches you? I stared at it. Longer than I should have. Then I answered without thinking. No one. The letters faded. The fog disappeared. And the room fell silent again. That was 2 months ago. Since then, no messages. No signals. No streams. Nothing. But every once in a while, when I walk by a shop window, or pass a dark screen on a train, I catch something. A face. Not mine. Not Max's. Not the rabbit. Just someone. For a fraction of a second. Watching. And then it's gone. Maybe it really is over. Maybe silence held. Maybe we got lucky. But the thing about echo was never just the signal. It was the audience. The attention. The hunger. The curiosity. And curiosity? That never really dies. It just waits. Until someone clicks. Until someone wonders. Until someone watches again. So if you're hearing this, if you've made it to the end, if the screen is dark and the room is quiet, ask yourself, are you watching? Or are you being watched? Either way, welcome back.